In today's hyper-connected world, where information flows at lightning speed and attention spans are shorter than ever, leadership communication has never been more critical. Words are not just sounds. They're the spark that ignites movements, the compass that guides teams through uncertainty, and the invisible thread that weaves trust into every interaction. A single phrase can inspire a team to push through challenges, while a poorly chosen word can erode confidence in an instant. But how do you wield this power effectively? While there isn't a single book titled How to Talk Like a Leader, the principles of impactful communication are masterfully detailed in resources like Judith Humphrey's Speaking as a Leader and other expert guides. Let's explore the transformative techniques that turn ordinary speakers into visionary leaders. Research shows that leaders who communicate clearly are 3.5 times more likely to have highly engaged teams, underscoring the tangible impact of effective communication on organizational success. Judith Humphrey, a world-leading communications coach with decades of experience advising Fortune 500 executives and emerging leaders alike, emphasizes that leadership communication isn't reserved for grand stages. It's woven into daily interactions. Her book teaches that every conversation, email, or presentation is an opportunity to inspire and influence. True leaders understand that their words shape culture, drive action, and build credibility. For example, a manager who starts a meeting with a clear purpose and acknowledges team members' contributions fosters a sense of belonging, while a CEO who shares a personal story during a company-wide address can humanize the organization and build emotional connections. Written by one of the world's leading communications coaches, Speaking as a Leader shows you how to make the most of your daily communications, creating a ripple effect of influence across teams and organizations. Consider how a simple "good morning" can set the tone for the day, or how a well-crafted email can align a team. These moments, though seemingly small, are where leadership truly lives. In fact, studies indicate that leaders who consistently communicate with clarity and empathy see up to a 25% increase in team productivity, proving that everyday interactions are the foundation of strong leadership. One key principle is communicating the vision, not just tasks. Leaders don't just assign work, they paint a vivid picture of the future that resonates on an emotional level. As Humphrey notes, leaders show you what the future looks like. For instance, when presenting a new initiative, a leader might say, "We're building a future where every child has access to quality education," rather than detailing budget allocations. This shift from operational details to aspirational vision connects emotionally with the audience. Visionary communication transforms abstract goals into tangible realities, inspiring teams to rally around a shared mission. Consider how Elon Musk describes SpaceX's mission not as launching rockets, but as making life multiplanetary to ensure humanity's survival. This grand vision captures imaginations and motivates employees to push boundaries. Similarly, Satya Nadella at Microsoft shifted the company's focus from Windows first to cloud first, mobile first, redefining Microsoft's identity and inspiring innovation across the organization. By focusing on the why rather than the how, leaders create a sense of purpose that transcends daily tasks and fuels long-term commitment. Another technique is speaking in headlines. Instead of lengthy explanations, leaders distill messages into clear, memorable phrases that cut through the noise. Imagine a CEO saying, "Our mission is to make healthcare accessible to every corner of the globe," rather than diving into quarterly financials. This headline-style communication ensures the core message sticks, even in a sea of competing information. Think of iconic slogans like Nike's "Just Do It" or Apple's "Think Different." They're concise, powerful, and instantly recognizable. Leaders who master this skill ensure their audience remembers the essence of their message, even in a crowded information landscape. For example, when Greta Thunberg addresses climate change, she doesn't list statistics. She says, "How dare you?" a simple, provocative phrase that encapsulates the urgency of the crisis. Similarly, when Martin Luther King Jr. spoke of his dream, he didn't detail policy proposals. He painted a vision of equality that resonated globally. In business, leaders like Howard Schultz of Starbucks often use headlines like, "We are not in the coffee business serving people, but in the people business serving coffee," which reframes the company's purpose and aligns employees with a higher mission. By crafting headlines that encapsulate the essence of your message, you create a mental anchor that your audience can return to again and again. Humphrey also stresses answering the three must-make points, identifying the top three takeaways you want your audience to remember. Whether in a meeting or a keynote, this structure keeps communication focused and impactful. For example, when presenting a new strategy, a leader might say, "First, we're doubling down on innovation. Second, we're prioritizing customer experience. Third, we're building a culture of collaboration." By limiting to three key points, the message becomes digestible and actionable. This approach prevents information overload and ensures the audience walks away with clarity, not confusion. Take the example of a startup CEO pitching to investors. Instead of listing every feature of their product, they might say, "We're solving the #1 pain point for busy professionals. We're doing it with AI that learns faster than competitors, and we're already generating $1 million in annual revenue." This clarity makes the pitch memorable and persuasive. Research shows that audiences retain only 20% of information presented in unstructured formats, but when messages are distilled to three core ideas, retention jumps to 70%. Repetition is another powerful tool. As seen in historical speeches, repeating key phrases like education, education, education reinforces importance and creates rhythm. This technique, used effectively by leaders from politicians to CEOs, ensures critical ideas resonate deeply. For instance, a manager might say, "Safety first, safety always, safety in every action," to embed the value of workplace safety into their team's mindset. Repetition isn't redundancy, it's reinforcement, turning passive listeners into active believers. Winston Churchill's famous "We shall fight on the beaches" speech used repetition to galvanize a nation during World War II. "We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, we shall fight in the fields." This rhythmic repetition created a sense of unity and resolve. In modern contexts, leaders like Jacinda Ardern used repetition during New Zealand's pandemic response. "Go hard, go early, stay the course," a mantra that became a national rallying cry. By strategically repeating key phrases, leaders create psychological anchors that stick long after the conversation ends. Powerful language choices matter too. Seth Godin, a renowned marketer and author, advises leaders to pick words that evoke emotion and action. Instead of saying, "We need to improve," say, "We're revolutionizing the industry." Strong verbs and vivid imagery make messages resonate. Godin's concept of the purple cow encourages standing out with remarkable ideas. Leaders who choose language that sparks curiosity and excitement create movements. Words like transform, innovate, and empower carry weight, while vague terms like maybe or sort of dilute impact. The right language turns ordinary conversations into catalysts for change. Consider how Oprah Winfrey transformed her media empire by using words like "you deserve this" and "this is your moment," phrases that made audiences feel seen and empowered. Similarly, leaders in tech often avoid jargon like synergy and instead say, "We're building something that changes how people connect." When you choose words that spark imagination and action, you don't just communicate, you inspire. Beyond speaking, true leadership communication requires active listening. Many leaders focus so much on what they want to say that they forget to listen. But great leaders know that listening is just as important as speaking. Active listening involves fully concentrating, understanding, responding, and remembering what is being said. For instance, when a team member shares a concern, a leader might paraphrase it. "What I hear you saying is that you feel overwhelmed by the current deadlines. Is that right?" This not only validates their feelings, but also ensures clarity. Research shows that leaders who practice active listening build stronger relationships and foster a culture of trust. A study by Harvard Business Review found that employees who feel heard are 4.6 times more likely to perform their best work. So, when you listen actively, you're not just gathering information, you're building the foundation for collaboration and innovation. Imagine a leader who asks, "What's one thing we could do differently to support you?" instead of dictating solutions. This simple shift creates psychological safety and unlocks creativity. Empathy is the secret weapon of influential leaders. It's not about agreeing with everyone, but understanding their perspectives. When communicating, leaders who show empathy can connect on a deeper level. For example, during a crisis, saying, "I understand this is stressful and we're in this together," can calm fears and unite a team. Empathy also means tailoring your message to the audience's needs. A leader addressing frontline workers might use simple, direct language, while speaking to executives might require data-driven insights. By stepping into others' shoes, leaders ensure their message lands with impact. Consider how a hospital administrator might say, "We know you're working tirelessly to save lives. Let's talk about how we can make your shifts safer," rather than issuing generic directives. This acknowledgement of effort and challenges builds loyalty. Studies show that empathetic leaders reduce team stress by 30% and increase innovation by 25%, proving that emotional intelligence is a business multiplier. Metaphors and analogies are another underrated tool for clarity. Complex ideas become relatable when framed through familiar imagery. For example, when explaining blockchain technology, a leader might say, "It's like a digital ledger that everyone can see but no one can tamper with, like a public notebook where every page is locked in place." This makes the abstract tangible. Steve Jobs famously used metaphors to simplify Apple's innovations. Your computer is a bicycle for your mind. Such analogies stick because they tap into universal experiences. In a business context, framing a company's growth as planting seeds for a forest rather than increasing market share creates a shared mental picture of long-term vision. When you use metaphors, you don't just explain, you show. Adapting your communication style to your audience is equally critical. A leader speaking to engineers might dive into technical details, while addressing a board of directors requires financial metrics and strategic implications. For instance, when introducing a new product, a leader might say to developers, "This feature uses quantum computing to process data 10 times faster." But to customers, "It's 5 times faster than anything else on the market, so you get results in seconds, not minutes." This tailoring ensures relevance and resonance. Research shows that 70% of communication failures stem from mismatched messaging, using jargon with non-experts, or oversimplifying for experts. The best leaders adjust their tone, vocabulary, and depth based on who's listening, making every interaction feel personalized and impactful. Handling Q&A sessions with confidence is another skill that separates good leaders from great ones. Instead of avoiding tough questions, prepare for them. When a skeptical stakeholder asks, "How will this work in practice?" a leader might respond, "Great question. Let's break it down step by step. First, we'll pilot this in 3 regions to test scalability." This turns uncertainty into a collaborative discussion. Leaders like Satya Nadella are known for their calm, thoughtful responses to criticism. That's a valid concern. Here's how we're addressing it, and here's what we're learning. This approach builds credibility and trust. Remember, Q&A isn't a test. It's an opportunity to deepen understanding. In conclusion, mastering leadership communication isn't about perfecting speeches. It's about infusing every interaction with purpose, clarity, and strategic intent. By adopting these techniques, anyone can transform their words into a force for change, inspiring others to follow their vision. As Humphrey aptly puts it, leaders see every speaking situation as an opportunity to move people forward. The next time you speak, remember, your words aren't just heard, they're felt. And in that feeling lies the power to lead. Whether you're crafting a headline, listening deeply, or using a metaphor to simplify complexity, each choice shapes the world around you. Start small. In your next meeting, focus on one technique. Distill your message to 3 key points, or rephrase a vague statement with a vivid verb. Over time, these small shifts compound into extraordinary influence. Because leadership isn't about titles or authority, it's about the words you choose and the impact they leave behind.